What's going on, you guys? Sim here at YCS Minneapolis. My boy Asia Persuasion, you already know my boy Dre. And we are here with Mr. Clifton Land. First time on the channel, long time coming. Happy to have you here. How'd you do this weekend at YCS Minneapolis?
This weekend I got top 16 with Dragons.
Dragons! I swear, you were the only one. I swear, I saw no one else. Before we get, I gotta ask, why Dragon Link in this particular event?
The Bisted cards. I knew they were going to be hot coming into the weekend. A lot of people were playing tier just because it had been good in the previous format. They just got real callous, so I knew everybody was going to be on it. And then the Bisted cards just destroy that deck. And then Magma, the best Bisted, it can add any dragon, so it doesn't have to be a Bisted. So it can just search like any of your starters, like Safer or a Rocket if you need it or something. I just felt like this was the deck that could have used it the best.
Yeah, clearly it worked. All right, well, before we get into it, do you have any shout-outs?
Yes, shout out to Top Choice Gaming, all those guys
Jersey,
supporting
baby.
me
Yeah,
over the weekend.
Karen's kind of
Love
nice.
you guys.
Karen's kind of nice.
Karen's kind of nice.
Shout out to Connor Wesley for all of the Bisted cards hooking me up because this was the first weekend they were legal. So it was like a hunt to get everything for the event. Shout out to the guys that came with Eric, Joe Gold, Elijah Green. Just a good flight, good trip, good weekend. So.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, let's get into it.
All right, so most of it's pretty standard, like old Dragon Link cards. 3 Safer, it's just good at adding back Levy from the graveyard and also searching your babies whenever you need them. The added benefit in this version is while it's in the graveyard, it can banish to add back Bisted Lubellion because it's a level 8. So there were a lot of times where I was able to start the combat with this. And then if I opened a Rocket where I didn't need to foolish the Absurator to get to it or open Quick Launch, I could just use Ravine to dump Lubellion and then banish this to get to Lubellion, and then that would turn on my Bisted engine.
Insane.
And then these guys are just, there's not enough to say about these little cards.
They're at one for a reason.
They're amazing. Legionnaire, really, really good. It's good at going second, helping crack boards. Going first, it's just an extra loop a card out of your opponent's hand, and then you just link it off for other stuff. It's a level 8, so you can also add it back with Safer.
Spice.
Probably the best card in my deck.
Okay. Non-peasant rarity.
Another shout out, Ned Salkovich. He hooked me up with this Friday. I bought it from him at his store. I can't remember what the store was called. I apologize.
Nice,
But,
nice stuff.
yeah, they hooked me up with this. Yeah, it's dope. This card was absolutely amazing. It was like probably the most common card I searched during the end phase with Magnemite, especially on my opponent's turn. On my turn, if I Magnemited, I would probably just search like a Bisted to interact with my opponent on their turn. But on my opponent's turn, if I ever like seals, bounce a card, and then summon Magnemite, and then I triggered its effect, this is what I would search for the follow-up. Just because on the next turn, whenever you summon like Levy or any of your Bisted cards or something, you can pay 1,000 and then add back any of your banished cards, so you can get back your Bisted, so you can put Striker Dragon back into the extra deck, and then he's huge, so you can summon himself from the extra deck and just go from there. Yeah, this card was absolutely amazing. 2 Nocto, just some of the more extenders. Just helps with chain blocking, helps beat a lot of weird stuff, helps push through cards, just another extender, draws cards. You want to see as many cards as possible. This deck is just so fast. And then the Rocket cards. 4 was enough, I never missed another one. There's like sometimes where you might want like a 3rd Tracer, but usually you're fine with just summoning these 2 from the deck. But yeah, I just play the minimal amount. It's searchable off Absurator, so it's pretty easy to get to. Quick launch. This card's fantastic. You just need it in a deck so you can summon it off this. But even if you start with it, you can still quad war on back. But the reason I played this little guy, there's 2 reasons. If your hand's good enough, you can start with, or if you open Ravine, you can dump the Absurator to search this, and then normal summon this, bring back Absurator, and you can make a Boral Savage right there before you start comboing, so it helps protect stuff. And I really wanted another Rocket in the deck for whenever I summoned a Druid Worm on my opponent's turn, because whenever Druid Worm sits to the graveyard, it sends a card on the field, especially my monster. So there were a lot of times where I would like seals out like my Safer, or I could like set a quick launch that I didn't need a combo with on the previous turn, summon it out, and then I could Druid Worm on my opponent's turn to banish card out of the graveyard, and then I could use this on their turn to pop the Druid Worm and then summon out a Rocket and then use the Druid Worm as like an interruption.
Broken.
So cute little interactions. It's also a level 4. Like Tracer's more important. This is why I was like maybe bump it up to 3 because all the Bistids are level 6, so you can make Baron pretty easy. So if you can ever like go second, Bisted your opponent on their turn, and then you can start your turn with normal summon Safer, and then these 2 make a Baron. It's really, really strong. Puts them in a gate, and then if you used Druid Worm, you also get the Synchro card. So helps with interactions. Just want Absurator. You don't want to draw it. Just want to send it off Ravine or Chaos Space.
The broken card.
The best cards in the deck. Pretty big lineup. 3 of all like the really good ones. Led by on searches all your guys. He's also searchable off Chaos Space.
Jesus.
Because he's a level 8 light that can be summoned. So if you open up the combo, you can just, worst case, Chaos Space for this guy, then combo. These guys just want to max out on him because they're fantastic against tier. It searches any dragon in your deck, so not only is it an interruption, it searches safer to start comboing or whatever you need. This guy, just another interruption. At worst, they're just dragon extenders, right? Dark dragons. And then 1 star on here. He's a DD Crow, but he's definitely the worst one because all he does is send a Bisted or a branded card from your deck to the graveyard. He's good to send the spell to the graveyard and set up the turn 1 play, but outside of that, you really don't want to see him. But these were definitely the best ones.
How many tiers did you obliterate this weekend?
I played 2 Sprite, 1 Flunder, 8 tier.
Jesus, so you obliterated.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I was just like, feed me the tears.
Made Lubellion or add Lubellion. I was cockeyed as good.
The craziest spell card in the deck,
Oh, yeah.
Chaos Space.
Yes.
I mean, just being able to search the baby dragons, and now like you can search Levineer and you can search the Chaos Emperor if you ever needed to like recycle stuff. But now just being able to have a good light target to search off a Chaos Space is really good. Usually your only other light target that we've ever had is the White Dragon Wyvern Burster, but now being able to like, if you're able to combo, then you can use the Chaos Space to discard just a random dark card to get this is so good. It's just a bunch of extra interruptions. Helps put back the cards too. 3 quick launch, just summon rockets from the deck. Ravine and Boots. Drew these cards all weekend like it was my job, but it's okay. The deck's just insane. It has so many pushes. But yeah, both these cards just engine requirements. MVPs besides the Bisted cards. 3 talents, 3 Dark Ruler. So these are my only defensives besides the Bisted cards. I feel like the Bisted cards were good enough to beat the tier deck, which is what I was most afraid of playing. Not afraid of playing, but I thought I would see the most. But they don't do a lot against Sprite. Most of the people were just ignoring hand traps, and they were just like, first 2 Sprite monsters make gigantic, try to lock you out of so many Bisted cards, which is fair. But these 2 cards were very impactful against Sprite. They were just making like a huge board. A lot of people are still playing Toad this weekend and stuff because they were using the Sprint and Nimble Beaver Angler play. So they were ending on like full board with like no cards in hand, you know, maybe a set Smashers, but then they'd have like Toad, Elf, IP, Red, and then these cards were just blowouts every single time. Yeah, just so good. And your deck's very good at clearing boards, so you don't really need to kill them. It's not like old Dragon Link where you can just like access code, Chaos Ruler, kill somebody. So you can just slam it to get their entire field, and then you can make something like Borderland Dragon, and he can attack all your opponent's monsters, so you can just clear their board after you Dark Ruler. So you don't have a trouble dealing with the board afterwards. And then the last 2 engine requirements, Branded Beast and Branded Regained. This card, really solid, helped out some weird like trap cards and stuff like that. I didn't hit any mines this weekend, but I'm just glad I didn't see that card. But yeah, card was pretty solid. This was probably the worst card in my deck, but it still wasn't bad. I just started siding it out a lot. I always take them out when I go second, just because they're not really that good whenever you draw them. This card's alright. You can always set it up turn 1 if you want to, but most of the time, once you start getting real value off of this card, the game's already over. Because if I was able to combo enough and make the board and set up this stuff, they probably weren't beating my board anyways. So this card didn't put in a lot of work in that regard. But this card was always fantastic whenever I started with it. So if I just opened it, I probably opened like 2 or 3 games, and you just turn 1, you just play this, and then you start like doing random, you know, Dragon Link stuff. And then if you ever banish something for like Levineer or like any of the baby dragons, or even if like you have to Bisted a card, or if your opponent Bisteds you, you can just use its effect, shuffle back the banish card, and draw a card. So at worst, you just get an extra card. And there were a lot of times where I was like comboing, if I had like a weird hand, and I like had to make Striker Dragon early, and then link it off, I would summon my own Bisted card by banishing the Striker Dragon, and then you could just use this to put back the Striker Dragon to draw a card, and then you could make it again to help make the Pisty line a little bit better. So there were some weird applications where it came up like that, but this could probably be cut for something else going forward.
40 in the main?
40 in the main, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Always.
Extra deck, Striker Dragon, Absolute God card. This card.
At one for a reason.
Amazing. I used its effects to destroy itself, add back Recharger, and then Recharger back Borderland from the graveyard way too many times this weekend. But yeah, this card is so good, and it's even better now because you've like Branded Regained, and like you could control the Chaos Space banishes and stuff better with like the Bisted cards, so you can recycle them a lot more, especially with the Chaos Emperor. You just banish him with like a Bisted card to summon the Bisted, and then you just scale the Chaos Emperor, destroy it, add it back, and then do stuff from there. Pisty, another crazy, insane card. It's just so good at bringing back the Bisteds. You can just bring back a Magnemite, trigger it for free, and then just follow up on the turn. It helps you get back your rockets. It's really good if you open recharger. That way you can like help get it back. Quad Boral and Delindrus. These make... This card's mandatory, I think, now. This card was really good. This helps make any 2 dragons, the Boral Savage, Boral End, and then the Trap play, easy with just 2 dragons. Because you end up making this, and then you crack this to bring back the 2 dragons, and then this comes back. And then you make Boral End, and then negate a card to make the Savage. So this card helps extend a lot. Spheres, you only need 1 Romulus just to get the Ravine. Card is absolutely amazing. Had a cute little card on my side deck that I'll show here in a second to summon off of this. But yeah, just good at summoning off, like most of the time I would just summon off Magnemut and then just use it to affect the trigger and then just try not to die, and then Magnemut would search me something so I could kill him on the follow-up. This deck still has insane crackback. Triple Burst, definitely mandatory because of all the stuff you're doing with like Quad Boral and Pisty. It's really, really good with Dark, because if you can ever make like Dark and then Dark an opponent's card, like to this arrow, and then you make Pisty, and then you can just use Dark in the card that you took with them for this, just because it takes effect monsters, it doesn't take dragons, and then this is how you summon it back any dragon, and then 3/4, and then whatever you brought back is the easy Boral in play. So Dark in this card help make it really easy. It also negates stuff in the damage step whenever it like kills stuff. So sometimes if you're like killing over, like beating over Sarniers or things like that, you can negate their effects. Borland, best card in the extra deck. This card, insane. Absolutely insane. He's a hoss. I mean, he can't be targeted, can't be destroyed. He has the perfect attack points. He's 35, and all of the tier fusions are 3k with 500 with the Prelude boost. So there were just so many times where I'd be like, battle phase, and they'd have a huge board, and I'd just be like, attack into their Roll Kalos. They're like, okay, yeah, so we crashed, and I'm like, nope. Technically, yeah. But, so like this, put their card in the graveyard, and I'm like, attack. And they're like, your guy's dead, and I'm like, no. And then he can attack all your opponent's guys. And then the only way tier can even beat this is if they have Solic to negate it, and then they have like another way to actually beat it, like pop it with the field spell or something. And the only way Sprite can beat it is with Smashers. But if you can like just hold the negate for their Kikala so they can't get the Solic, or hold the negate for the Jet so they can't search Smashers, they can just never ever beat this card. And it just keeps getting advantage with all the rockets. The worst cards in my deck this weekend? I don't think I ever made IP, but in theory it's good, because if you have like a weird hand or you have to dark lock yourself really early, this is the link to you want to end on, since you can't end on spheres because it's a light. So worst case, you can use this and then summon Druid Worm to banish card at your opponent's graveyard, and then you can use its effect to link this off in Druid Worm to make Unicorn. Unicorn will spin a card, and then Druid Worm, since it was sent to the graveyard, extend another card. So it's some weird hands that came up a lot in testing, but I don't think I made this all weekend. Unicorn and Access Code, made it once. This, I just needed the arrows one time because I'd already been through Triple Burst, but I was able to banish my Pisty and recycle it. So this was just another guy that pointed down and fit the 3 of requirement. And then, yeah, just use this guy one time also. But yeah, just power cards. And then the synchros. Savage, standard, absolutely fantastic card. You can add it back with Safer, just same with the Bested cards. You can just banish it if you ever need to remake it again, and then shuffle it back with Chaos Emperor or Chaos Space or something. Baron, probably my favorite card in the extra deck. So many people just did not respect the Baron. Like, I would just Bisted him on their turn, and then I'm like, normal Tracer, or like Quick Uncharged Tracer. And they're like looking at the board, and they're like, okay, like he probably makes like Striker Dragon, and they're like, worst case, he links them both off for Romulus or something. And I'm like, good. Baron. They're like, yeah, okay, and there's Baron. And then pop a card and then combo from there. So it answers 2 cards. I even got one guy real bad. He's playing tier. I Bisted a card, and then he sets a back row, passes. I draw. He normally with the Tracer. He like checks his back row, thinks for a long time. He was like, "You're good." So I synchro them both off for Baron. I use it to effect pop his set card that he was looking at for a long time. It was there can be only one.
Oh Jesus Christ!
And I had the 2 dragons on field. It was like a Druid Worm and then the Tracer, but he was pretty far behind. So I think he just wanted to hold it to try to get max value once I was kind of like full comboing. But yeah, absolutely blew him out with the Baron.
That's so sick.
I love it.
And then Scarlight. It's really good at clearing boards. It's another kind of card that goes really well with Dark Roller. You can just Dark Roller board. Worst case, you just Dark Roller and then you shoot this off first. Use its effects, nuke the field, and then you can like link it off and do plays later. So that way you don't have to like, if you can't get to the Savage or Borderland to like attack over everything, you can just use this really early with like the Tracer or pop a card.
Yeah.
And then clear the board and then combo afterwards.
I know there's one thing you missed in your deck, Clifton. That one Chaos Ruler.
Yeah.
Everyone missed that after this, I bet.
I don't know. After playing today, I think I trade the Chaos Ruler for the Bisted cards. They're
Yeah, I know, right?
so good.
Basically what you did.
They're so good.
Crazy.
Side Gamma Driver. So this was really good against the weird decks like Exosister, Flunder, Rogue stuff. It's really good against Pendulum. Hitting up beyond the Pendulum with this is insane. It's also the best way to play around the Branded and High Spirits play that everybody was doing this weekend. So they would like Branded and High Spirits and like draw a face and then like send the tier, the Real Callous, and then they would fuse. But they can do their entire like good part of the combo without putting a monster on the field, so I could never interact with them with the Bisted card. So even though my Bisteds would do damage afterwards, most of the time they were able to like establish a Real Callous so they can negate my first Bisted or something like that. So Gamma being able to stop that very first tier that was sent to the graveyard off the Branded and High Spirits was very, very impactful. Pinkertop's really good against Sprite, same as the Gamma stuffs. I just kind of needed to compensate because I dedicated so much of my main deck with the Bisted cards to tier, so I just needed something to combat Sprite. Most of the time you can overrun Sprite just because your card's so big and so strong, but never helps to have a little bit of backup just because I have a bunch of dead cards in my deck with the Bisted stuff. The cute little card that I was summoning off of...
Oh, baby.
You summon this off Spheres because most of the time your end board is Spheres, Savage, and then the Trap with a Bisted card on the field. Your board can be crazier, but I just kept making that board just to... I don't want to get super polished or like a lava golem or anything crazy.
Yeah.
So worst case, you know, you just set up an easy board and then your crackback is so good. So just don't want to lose any blowouts. But yeah, you can protect this. So they would just like enter battle phase or like try to force out my seal, or sometimes I would just have to preemptively like seal bounce their Kikalos, and then off of it I would summon this, and then whenever they tried to like enter their battle phase and then like attack over it, you can just use the Branded Bisted Trap, or you have to do it main phase, but you could tribute and pop the Bisted card so that they couldn't attack over the Drago. And then they can't special summon, so they usually can't put another monster on the board in order to get over it. And then next turn, you can either just link it off for like Romulus, or you can just worst case tribute over it for a Bisted monster.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I even tributed over a Bisted monster one time and then LP'd it, or Pist'd it back.
With the attack points, let's
Yeah.
go.
3 Lightning Storm, just good against the generic decks once again. Blow up all the Exosister back row, good against Flunder. It's good against the Sprite deck if they're not playing the Toad stuff, which a good amount of people were, but it's much better against their Runic version just because they put up a pretty weak board, and then you can just storm their back row, get rid of like the Smashers and like the Fountain or something, and then usually they're bored of like IP, Elf, Red can't compete with any sort of Dragon combo. And then the going first cards, 3 Fragrance, 3 Rivalry. The Runic Sprite was probably my hardest matchup in testing, so that's why I really wanted to dedicate this card to it. Flunder's also really bad, so this card was for this. And then this was like the MVP side card of the weekend. All your cards are dragons, so and you draw a good amount of cards throughout the deck now too with Branded Regains and Chaos Space, so you have a little bit higher chance of seeing this. It just locks tier out of all their plays. Everybody was playing the Nimble Beaver Sprite stuff, so they would like start their turn with like normal Beaver, summon Beaver, or like Foolish Angler, summon 2 Beavers, and you just flip this, lock them out for a turn, and the next turn to kill them. That's what I did to Ryan Levine in Game 2 of our top 16 feature match. I literally go set Rivalry pass because my hand was so bad, and then he starts his turn and he was like special summon Swap Frog by discarding Nimble Angler, summons the 2 Beavers. I was like, flip Rivalry, and then he was just like send the Beavers, bounce back Swap Frog, go ahead. And I was like, drew a playable card, killed him.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this card was fantastic this weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, man. Well, I think this deck is insane. Awesome to see Dragon Link getting some representation, and yeah, just carrying it home with it. Love to see it, and really showing how powerful these new cards are. That's what
Yeah, the Bisted cards
just a
were
crack.
great for this deck.
it's just awesome to see something different doing well, and I swear, I just don't think dragons are ever not going to be good. So they
Yeah,
just
I know,
keep
right?
getting better, more and more cards.
Hit the
so
last
it
card
makes
dragon
sense.
LP.
Yeah.
Right.
Or Pisty.
They'll still find a
Hit
way.
the last
So
one.
whatever.
I shouldn't have made Whirlwind.
Should've been more
Should've made
exactly.
that, you're
All
right.
right, well, congratulations on the top 16. And
Thank you.
for the deck, bro.
Of course.